Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Every year, crimes go unsolved here in Southern California. Loved ones are left waiting. I'm Joy Benedict. As a news reporter, I've covered countless crimes, countless homicides, and I know that sometimes the victims of these crimes are forgotten almost as quickly as the headlines fade. So tonight, on Crime Stoppers Case Files, we take another look at some of the crimes still left lingering unsolved in our communities. Let's get started. It's November 8th. 2006. Jose Garcia drives to his girlfriend's home and is waiting outside in his brand new car, a car he worked 2 jobs to buy. 2 men approached and opened fire. Jose Garcia was only 19 years old. Here is his story.
He was almost 11 pounds when he was born. But he was so cute. He was adorable. He was like a doll.
He was so fun. He was a great big brother to his sister, a great male role model for my brother and just for all the cousins in the family. He'd do anything for his family. He was a hard worker. He tried to make himself an example for the younger kids to emulate.
And when I got home, I always find him washing dishes and mopping and cutting the grass. He loved sports. He played soccer in school, high school, until he graduated. He was working in the morning and he was going to school in the afternoon. He was going to IT Tech. He wanted to be an electrician. He had a big dream to save money to buy a house on Bel Air. But he wanted to buy his car first, and he will save any penny to buy his car. We support him as much as we can. He lived at home, and finally he got his car, the car he wanted it. And it was a lot of sacrifice for that car, because he worked really hard for that car. He really did.
Everything that he did was somewhat to set an example, not only to reach his goals, but so that the younger kids can see what he's doing and follow in his footsteps, and to make his family proud, his mom and his dad and his younger sister as well.
He used to hug me a lot. We looked like boyfriend and girlfriend when we went out. He always held my hand. He's an angel. He's everything you can imagine on a son. He was everything.
This crime occurred on Wednesday, November 8th, 2006 at approximately 8 o'clock in the evening. The victim, Jose Romero Garcia, 19 years old. He was sitting in his 2002 Cadillac Escalade in the driver's seat, waiting for someone. The vehicle was parked directly in front of a house on Palm Grove Avenue in the city of Los Angeles, residential district, a quiet area for the most part. And there was a confrontation between Jose and 2 male blacks on foot who asked him if he had gang affiliation. Jose does not have any gang background. He's just an innocent victim sitting in his vehicle waiting for someone. He was confronted and he was shot multiple times.
My husband and I and my daughter were watching TV and the phone rang. And my daughter answered the phone. I turned around and looked to my daughter and I said, "Who is it?" And she was just, "Mom, they said that Joe got shot," because we call him Joe.
And I was just in disbelief because this was 4 days after his birthday. And to this day, still can't believe that he's not there.
I'm Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department has partnered with the LAPD and other municipal police departments throughout our county to form the Los Angeles Regional Crime Stoppers Organization. Crime Stoppers is an important law enforcement tool, a proactive approach to removing dangerous criminals from our streets. Each week on this television program, we will share the facts about unsolved cases, and you will have the opportunity to submit information that may help investigators without ever having to give your name. I encourage you to provide us any information you may have. I thank you for joining us and doing your part to make our community safer.
On Wednesday, November 8th, 2006, at approximately 8 o'clock in the evening, the victim, Jose Romero Garcia, was sitting in the driver's seat of his 2002 Cadillac Escalade. He was confronted by two individuals. One of them asked him if he was part of a gang. Therefore, we believe that this is a gang-related incident. Jose was an innocent bystander with no gang affiliation whatsoever.
He was there actually to see his girlfriend over there. This girl had called him to go see her. They have an argument or something. My son doesn't like to argue with people, didn't like to argue with people, and he went to, to take care of that, and he was waiting for her in front of her house.
The investigation revealed that there were at least two individuals, suspects involved, male blacks, that possibly fled the scene in a red sedan. Unknown description of the vehicle.
It's been almost 5 years and I don't know anything about the people who take my son's life. It's really, really hard for me to live without him every single day. I'm not gonna forget my son the rest of my life, but at least probably have some relief knowing that they're behind bars. So I really appreciate the people who approach to the police or call them.
Knowing how much my aunt and uncle need him, and just as a mother now myself, like they say, you can't imagine, you're not supposed to bury your own kids. And he's somebody very important in our lives that he's not there anymore. He was a great kid. He's always gonna be loved, but he's missed a lot. And I just hope somebody out there that knows something comes forth so that justice can be served and so that this doesn't happen to somebody else.
It's been 6 years since the crime occurred, and this family deserves closure. So if you have any information regarding this case, please contact the LAPD Criminal Gang Homicide Division's phone number at 213-485-4341. And you can ask to speak to any homicide detective. Young Moon is the detective in charge of this investigation. Or you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS.
Jose Garcia did not deserve this, and his family deserves answers. Someone on Palm Grove Avenue saw something. Someone heard something. If that is you, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Your call can be anonymous, or log on to lacrimestoppers.org and send an email.
The City of Los Angeles is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the identity, arrest, and prosecution of the person or persons responsible for murdering Jose.
After the break, a young teenager is kidnapped and murdered while walking to school. Her story is coming up. It's October 18th, 2002. 15-year-old Brenda Sierra is walking to school around 7 in the morning like she did every day. She's lured into a car, kidnapped, and beaten to death. Here is her story.
Well, I'm the oldest of 5, and she's the baby girl, and we're 10 years apart, so she was like my daughter in a sense. She was always really close to me, and she was like a little tomboy in the beginning, always very joyful, and although she was young, she was a very responsible young girl. She loved to dance. So all the time, some new step or some new song would come in, and she would come in and tell me, oh, look, this is what I learned. Tell me if it looks good. And her smile and her laughter, and what I miss about her, I miss her coming to my door and asking for help for her clothing. She wanted to borrow my clothes, or, you know, just being a teenager that she was, and having her around me, and having that little sister that according to her and to the documents that I have that she left behind, is that she looked up to me. It's a class assignment, and it talks about who do you look up to? Who do you think that you could compare yourself to, and who's your role model? And so she says that I am her role model. And when I found that paper, that's the paper I kept. And so, I mean, things like that are actually in writing, it's just the dearest thing that I hold. I think Brenda was very much just starting to live, very much starting to be that young lady. She had just turned 15. She started doing more sports in school and getting more involved in school, and she was very much involved in being a leader within the community. She was involved in this program called Renaissance. They try to help out the students to become very proactive with their academics and teach them to be responsible and teach them to be involved in different issues within the community. So her classmates very much talked about that friend that she was, and that she was trying to teach others to be. For example, if kids had issues, she wouldn't get involved in the situation. She would try to be that person in the middle where, you know, this is my friend and I'm gonna respect her whether your opinion is different. That very much, I think that if she would have had that second chance, or that chance to become that young adult that she could be now, she would have been a great leader.
On October 18th, 2002, between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, Brenda Sierra was kidnapped and subsequently murdered, and her body dumped in the mountains in Crestline. Brenda was a 15-year-old Hispanic female, nice looking, very well kept. In fact, she had a nail appointment after school the day of her disappearance that she never kept.
My sister ended up walking that morning to school by herself. She was supposed to come back to a hair appointment at 3 o'clock. 5 o'clock came, no call, no nothing. My mom called me and said, you know, your sister's not home yet. So then I went looking for her to the beauty salon, and they said that she had never arrived. Then I became really much concerned because she would always call me to let me know where she was at. I started calling friends, and they said that she had not shown up to school.
At the time, they thought, well, maybe she skipped school, whatever. She's a 15-year-old high school girl. That was not in her norm, in her routine. She wouldn't usually do that. Later on that evening, they actually discovered that she was missing. The next morning, on October 19th, at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, Brenda's body was discovered in the mountains in Crestline. The body just dumped along the side of the road on a cul-de-sac. During the investigation, we found out that her normal routine would be to call her girlfriend, tell her she was leaving her house. She would walk to her girlfriend's house, and then the girlfriend's mother would drive the two of them to school. We know that that morning she did make the call to her girlfriend and actually left the message on the answering machine that she was en route to her house. She never arrived at her house. It was learned that she was actually kidnapped by individuals in a small white vehicle that we believe she knew. We believe that maybe someone in the vehicle was a friend of hers. She may have gotten in the vehicle willingly. We don't know that for a fact. There was no calls of anybody in the neighborhood saying that they heard screams or anything of that nature. After she got into the vehicle, things went awry from there. Somewhere in between the time she was taken and obviously when her body was dumped, there was a struggle, a major struggle that ensued. It definitely got to the point of being very, very physical, very violent, at which point she was beaten and strangled to the point of her death. The way that her body was discovered in the mountains in Crestline, we believe that she was actually placed where she was discovered. We don't believe the car drove by and just dumped her. And the reason for that is she was kind of in an area where there's bushes and stuff, maybe to try and hide her from the general public's view for a short period of time. There was also dirt that looked like it had been maybe scooped or thrown on top of her, maybe in an attempt to try and hide parts of her from showing if the public was driving by, make her look like she was part of the scene.
You know, the weirdest feeling I had driving up there and praying to God being as selfish as I could be that in that time, praying to God, asking her not to be my sister. They sat me into a conference room and they gave me some pictures to look at. I think I saw like 8 different photos. I would look at the pictures one by one and not wanting to see her. And I think I got to the last picture, and that's when I was able to sink in that it was my sister.
Well, it's been 3 years since the murder of a teenage girl from East LA. Tonight, dozens of her friends and family gathered to remember her and to make an announcement that they hope will bring them one step closer to finding her killer. Brenda Sierra's family members and high school friends lit candles and prayed for someone to come forward with new information about her case. Sierra disappeared 3 years ago today as she walked to her high school in Montebello. Her body was found the next day on a rural road in San Bernardino County. Family members want to find Brenda's killer for closure and to make sure the person responsible doesn't kill again.
Where Brenda was abducted is right near her residence, which was on Leonard Avenue in the city of East Los Angeles. It's a middle-class neighborhood, a nice, clean neighborhood, not a lot of problems there. We believe that when she left for school, she was probably walking towards her friend's house and saw this vehicle pull up, and somebody probably got her attention in some manner that she was comfortable with. We believe she probably knew somebody in the vehicle. Maybe she knew a couple of people in the vehicle. There was one witness that did describe a small white vehicle pulling up that they thought that Brenda went over and talked to the people. They did not actually see her get into the vehicle. It was discovered that she had been beaten and she had been strangled. She probably did put up a struggle, however, not at the time of the kidnapping, we don't believe. The area where her body was discovered was up in Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains, a cul-de-sac, also of a residential neighborhood, where there was shrub and other things that would help conceal her.
Every day it's a battle. It's a battle because there's still no closure in the sense that we're still looking for who Romero killed her. People are not speaking out because they're afraid. But I would be more afraid of this person coming back and doing other things to other people and to have other families go through the pain that I'm going through.
This little girl did nothing to anybody to deserve any of this. She is not affiliated with any type of an organization, any type of a gang. She was a sweet, innocent young girl trying to get an education. We need the public's help to try and bring justice for Brenda Sierra. We do have a person of interest in this case, and his name is George Barraza. He's got a moniker or a gang name of Trooper or Troops. He's 31 years old, has a large tattoo on his stomach of a gang name, and he's also got a tattoo on the back of his head. We have various information that he may have grown his hair out covering the tattoo. And the information we have on his appearance and the photograph that is depicted was taken in 2002. So we don't have anything recent to show the way he looks at this time. You can contact myself, Sergeant Tom Harris, or Detective Larry Brandenburg, my partner, at Sheriff's Homicide Bureau at area code 323-890-5500. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can contact Crime Stoppers.
Please speak out. It's anonymous. For those that are looking for something else, there's a $150,000 reward. You need to be proactive and you need to look at your surroundings. And if something that you think could help, you should call because you don't know when it can happen to you.
Brenda was just 15 years old. She never got to fall in love, have a family, or even graduate high school. She did nothing wrong, and she deserves justice. Police do have a person of interest in this case. This is George Barraza. He is 31 years old and is believed to be splitting his time between Los Angeles and Mexico. So if you saw anything on that fall day, or if you know the whereabouts of Barraza, please call Crime Stoppers. You could be eligible for a $150,000 reward. The number is 1-800-222-TIPS, or log on to lacrimestoppers.org for information on how to email or text your tips. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Crime Stoppers Case Files. Remember, we are here every week with more crimes and more families needing answers. These are your neighbors. This is your community, and you can make a difference.